Hello. I hope everything's all set up. Welcome back to Michael Reads. I'm sorry for starting this live just a little late. I was just getting things all set up. Everything seems like it's good and ready to go. And I'm super excited about this because it feels like it's been a while. I've not been in the best of health, but I am feeling a lot better. But yeah, welcome to this space where ancient wisdom speaks to the modern world, where timeless lessons on wealth, discipline, ambition, and human nature are brought back to life, one page at a time. Tonight, we begin a remarkable journey through one of the most influential financial books ever written, The Richest Man in Babylon. I mean, we're all going through this thing where economies are not in the best state, neither is are individuals in the best state. So hopefully a book covering financials will help us prosper in this time when everyone is expected to crash. This book has transformed the thinking of millions across generations because it does not merely discuss money, it explores human behavior, desire, discipline, opportunity, and the internal search for a better life. And we begin tonight with chapter 1. It is called The Man Who Desired Gold. Now, this opening chapter is far more than an introduction, it is more of a mirror, a reflection of the hopes carried by ordinary people who lived for more than survival, who dream of prosperity, who want to create security for their families, who wish to rise above limitation and uncertainty. Within this chapter, we meet men who are dissatisfied with remaining trapped in the same financial condition year after year. They begin to ask deeper questions, like why do some people prosper while others struggle endlessly? Why does wealth seem to flow towards certain individuals? Is fortune merely luck, or is there a law behind it? And perhaps most importantly, can an ordinary person truly become wealthy? These are questions that remain just as relevant today as they were in ancient Babylon. Even now, people work long hours, earn salaries, pay bills, yet still feel as though lasting prosperity remains just beyond reach. This is why this book continues to resonate across generations. And if you look in the description, I will put a link in the description where you could get yourself a copy of this book. Yeah, so this book, it continues to resonate across the generations because the world changes, technology evolves, society transforms, yet human nature remains astonishingly similar. The fears remain, the ambitions remain, the longing for freedom remains. And so tonight, as we enter the streets of Babylon together, I encourage you not merely to listen to the story, but to see yourself within it. Because somewhere within these pages, you may discover ideas capable of changing your relationship with money forever. And if you're new to Michael Reads, welcome. This channel, it exists for those who seek wisdom that endures beyond trends and headlines. Here we explore the greatest books ever written on philosophy, discipline, human nature, spirituality, leadership, and prosperity. And that journey, if it speaks to you, be sure to subscribe to Michael Reads, turn on your notifications and become part of this growing community of lifelong learners. And if tonight's reading brings you value, share this live stream with someone who is striving to improve their life financially, mentally, or spiritually. Now, settle your mind, slow your thoughts, and allow the wisdom of Babylon to speak as I read out chapter 1 of The Richest Man in Babylon, the man who desired gold. Bansir was a chariot builder for the great ancient city of Babylon. One day he sat on the low wall surrounding his property, gazing sadly at his simple home and his workshop, in which stood a partially completed chariot. He noticed his wife frequently appearing at the door of their house. She would give pointed glances in his direction that reminded him that the meal bag was almost empty and he should be working to finish the chariot. Funny how just a glance could say so much. He should be hammering and hewing, polishing and painting, stretching the leather over the wheel rims to prepare it for delivery so he could collect from his wealthy customer. Nevertheless, his fat, muscular body sat upon the wall. His mind was struggling patiently with a problem that he could not find an answer to. The hot tropical sun, so typical of this valley of the Euphrates, beat down on him mercilessly. Beads of sweat formed on his brow and trickled down, unnoticed, to his chest. Beyond his home towered the high terraced walls surrounding the king's palace. Nearby, grasping the blue heavens, was the painted tower of the temple of Bel. In the shadow of such grandeur was his simple home, along with many others that were far less neat and well kept than his. Babylon was a lot like this, a mixture of grandeur and squalor, of dazzling wealth and dire poverty, crowded together without a plan or system within the protecting walls of the city. Behind him, had he cared to turn and look, he would have seen the noisy chariots of the rich jostled and crowded aside the sandaled tradesmen, as well as the barefooted beggars. Even the rich were forced to turn into the gutters to clear the way for the long lines of slave water carriers in the king's business, each carrying a heavy goatskin of water to be poured on the hanging gardens. Bansir was too engrossed in his own problem to hear or notice the confused hubbub of the busy city. It was the unexpected twanging of the strings from a familiar lyre that aroused him from his contemplation. He turned and looked into the sensitive, smiling face of his best friend Kobe, the musician. "May the gods bless you with continued wealth, my good friend," began Kobe with an elaborate salute. "It looks like the gods have already been very generous, seeing as you don't need to labor. I'm happy for you and your good fortune. I hope I can share in your good fortune. Maybe you could share some money from your purse, which must be bulging at the seams because otherwise you would be busy in your shop. All I need is 2 humble shekels to borrow until after the nobleman's feast tonight. You won't even miss them." "If I did have 2 shekels," Bansir responded gloomily, "I couldn't lend them anyway, not even to you, my best of friends, because they would be my fortune, my entire fortune. No one lends his entire fortune, not even to his best friend." "What?" exclaimed Kobe with genuine surprise. "You don't have 1 shekel in your purse, but you sit like a statue on a wall? Why don't you finish that chariot? How else can you provide for your noble appetite? This isn't like you, my friend. Where is your endless energy? Is something causing you distress? Have the gods brought you troubles? It must be torment from the gods, Bansia agreed. It began with a dream, a senseless dream in which I thought I was a man of means. From my belt hung a handsome purse, heavy with coins. There were shekels that I threw with careless freedom to the beggars, where there were pieces of silver. I used to buy fine things for my wife and whatever I desired for myself. There were pieces of gold that made me feel assured of the future and unafraid to spend the silver. A glorious feeling of contentment filled me. You wouldn't have recognized me, your hard-working friend. You wouldn't have recognized my wife either. Her face was free from wrinkles and shining with happiness. She looked like the smiling maiden of our early married days. A pleasant dream indeed, commented Kobe. But why would such a pleasant dream turn you into a glum statue on the wall? Why indeed, I'll tell you why. It was because when I woke up and remembered how empty my purse was, a feeling of rebellion swept over me. Let's talk it over together because, as the sailors say, we ride in the same boat. As youngsters, we went together to the priests to learn wisdom. As young men, we shared each other's happiness. As grown men, we have always been close friends. We have been contented subjects of our king. We have been satisfied with working long hours and spending our earnings freely. We have earned a lot of coins over the years, but to experience the joys that come from wealth, we have to dream about them. Bah! Are we better than dumb sheep? We live in the richest city in the world. Travelers from all around say no cities equal it in wealth. There is a great display of wealth around us, but we do not have any for ourselves. After half a lifetime of hard labor, you, my best of friends, have an empty purse and say to me, "Can I borrow just 2 shekels until after the noblemen feast tonight?" Then what do I say? Do I say, "Here is my purse, I will gladly share what is inside"? No, I admit that my purse is just as empty as yours. What is wrong with us? Why can't we acquire any more silver and gold than just enough for food and robes? Think about our sons as well, Bansir continued. Are they not following the footsteps of their fathers? Should they and their families and their sons and their sons' families live their lives in the midst of great treasures of gold and yet, like us, be okay with eating sour goat's milk and porridges? You have never talked like this before in all your years as friends, Bansir. Kobe was puzzled. I have never, in all those years, thought like this before. From early dawn until I was stopped by darkness, I have worked to build the finest chariots any man could make. I was soft-heartedly hoping someday the gods would recognize my worthy deeds and give me great prosperity. They have never done so. Finally, I realize they never will. It makes my heart sad. I want to be a man of means. I want to own lands and cattle, to have fine robes and coins in my purse. I am willing to work for these things with all the strength in my back, with all the skill in my hands, with all the brain power in my head, but I want for my work to be rewarded fairly. I'll say it again. What is wrong with us? Why can't we have our fair share of good things that are so plentiful for those who have enough gold to buy them? I wish I knew the answer, Kobe replied. I'm not any more satisfied than you are. The money I make with my lyre is quickly gone. I am always planning and scrimping so my family doesn't go hungry. Also, I really want a lyre large enough to truly sing the strains of music that surge through my mind. With an instrument like that, I could make music finer than anything the king has ever heard before. You should have a lyre like that. No man in all of Babylon could make it sing so sweetly. Not only the king, but the gods themselves would be delighted. But how would you get one when we are as poor as the king's slaves? Listen to the bell. Here they come. He pointed to the long column of half-naked, sweating water-bearers plodding laboriously up the narrow street from the river. 5 in a row they marched, each bent over a heavy goatskin of water. Look at the leader. He is a fine figure of a man, Cobby pointed out the water of the bell, who was marching in front without a load of water. It is easy to see he was a prominent man in his own country. There are many strapping men in the line, Bansier agreed. They look as good as we do. Tall, blond men from the north, laughing men from the south, little men from the nearer countries. They are all marching together from the river to the gardens, back and forth, day after day, year after year. They have no happiness to look forward to. Their beds are made of straw and they eat hard grain porridge. I pity the poor brutes, Cobby. I pity them too, but you made me see how little we differ from them. We are free men in name only. That is true, Cobby. Unpleasant as the thought may be, we don't want to go on year after year living slavish lives. Working, 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 getting nowhere. Maybe we should find out how others acquired their gold and do what they do, Cobby inquired. Maybe there is a secret we might learn if we ask those who know, replied Bansier thoughtfully. We should start today, suggested Cobby. I passed our old friend, Arcad, riding in his golden chariot. He didn't look over my humble head, as many in his station might consider it their right. Instead, he waved to me so that all the onlookers could see him greeting and smiling at his friend, Cobby, the musician. I hear he is the richest man in all of Babylon, said Bansier. He is so rich, I heard the king asks for his help in the affairs of the treasury, Cobby replied. So rich? Bansier interrupted. I'm afraid if I met him under the darkness of night, I would steal his fat wallet. Nonsense, scolded Cobby. A man doesn't carry around his wealth in a purse. A fat purse will quickly be empty if there is not a golden stream to refill it. Arcad has income that constantly keeps his purse full, no matter how much he spends. Income is the key, said Bansier. I want an income that will keep gold flowing into my purse whether I sit on the wall or travel to distant lands. Arcad must know how someone can make an income for themselves. Do you think it is something he could explain to a simple mind like mine? I think he shared his knowledge with his son, Nomasir, Cobby responded. I think I heard a story about him at the inn. Didn't he go to Nineveh and become, without the help of his father, one of the richest men in that city? Cobby, you just gave me a brilliant idea. A new light gleamed in Bansir's eyes. It cost us nothing to ask a good friend for wise advice, and Arcad has always been a good friend. It doesn't matter that our purses are as empty as an old falcon's nest. Let's not let that stop us. We are tired of being without gold in the midst of plenty. We want to become men of means. Come on, let's go to Arcad and ask how we too can get an income for ourselves. You speak with such inspiration, Bansir. You have given me a realization. You made me realize why we have never found any measure of wealth. We have never looked for it before. You have honed your craft until you were able to build the best chariots in Babylon. This is what you have devoted your life to, and you succeeded. I strove to become a skillful player, and I succeeded. What we give our best effort to, we succeed at. The gods were happy to let us continue as we had been doing. Now we see a light, bright like the rising sun. It wants us to learn more so we can prosper more. With this new knowledge, we will find honorable ways to accomplish our new desires. Let's go, Arkad, today, Bashir urged. Also, let's ask our other friends from childhood who haven't done any better than we have to join us so they can receive his wisdom too. You have always been thoughtful of your friends, Bansir. That is why you have so many. We will go today and take them with us. That brings an end to the first chapter. I got a new mug, Michael Reed's mug. I'm very happy with them. Just so that I can take my sip of drink as my throat gets dry from reading out to you. I hope you enjoyed that. And now, having walked through the opening chapter today, we arrive at the deeper meaning beneath the surface of the story, because the true power of this chapter is not merely found in the events themselves, it is found in the lessons quietly woven between the lines. So a few reflections on this chapter, the desire is the beginning of wealth. One of the first rules revealed in this chapter is that wealth begins with desire, not vague wishing, not idle dreaming, but a genuine hunger for a better condition. The men within this story become dissatisfied with merely existing. They no longer wish to spend their lives watching others prosper while they remain trapped in limitation. This is important because transformation rarely begins with comfort. It often begins with frustration, a moment where a person finally says, surely life can become more than this. And that thought alone can alter an entire future. Many people never improve financially because they never fully commit themselves internally to change. They hope casually, they drift aimlessly, they envy success without studying it. Yet Babylon teaches us something different. Prosperity begins when desire becomes focused. Wealth leaves cues. Another powerful idea introduced within this chapter is that wealthy people are not magical beings separated from everyone else. They simply understand the principles that others ignore. This is one of the most important concepts in the entire book, because once a person understands that wealth follows patterns, everything changes. Money is not merely random. Opportunity is not entirely accidental. There are habits that create prosperity and habits that quietly destroy it. The tragedy is that Many people spend years working harder without ever learning the laws governing money itself. This chapter reminds us that labor alone does not guarantee wealth. Wisdom must guide effort. And that lesson remains profoundly relevant in the modern world. Another thing to reflect on from this chapter is environment shapes ambition. Babylon itself plays an important symbolic role in this chapter. The city represented abundance, commerce, luxury, ambition, and achievement. Just like any place where you are right now, where you are viewing from. Everywhere the characters looked, they saw evidence of prosperity. And this matters deeply because the environment surrounding a person influences the size of their thinking. When individuals constantly surround themselves with limitation, their wisdom shrinks. But exposure to possibility expands ambition. This is why books matter. This is why conversations also matter. And this is why communities create wealth. They all matter. The ideas you repeatedly absorb eventually shape your identity. And perhaps this is one reason why you are here tonight, listening, learning, and searching for growth. I am also hoping for growth myself. So it's not like I have cracked the code and I'm giving it to you. I am learning as we go. And that's the whole point of Michael Reads. I'm trying to make reading become a habit for myself, but I'm sharing that experience with the rest of you so that you too can become readers and not just rely on things that we see on the internet, because the real wisdom comes from books. And another reflection, financial ignorance is expensive. One quiet but powerful theme within this opening chapter is the cost of not understanding money. Many people spend decades earning income while remaining financially anxious, not because they lack intelligence, but because nobody taught them timeless financial principles. Schools often teach people how to work, yet rarely teach them how to build wealth. And so generations repeat the same cycle: earn, spend, struggle, repeat. The richest man in Babylon challenges that cycle directly. It tells us that financial wisdom can be learned, and once learned, life can begin to change permanently. What makes this book extraordinary is that although it was written generations ago, its message feels astonishingly modern. Today, people chase higher salaries while ignoring financial discipline. Many increase income without increasing wisdom. Some appear wealthy externally while internally drowning in debt and anxiety. Babylon reminds us that true wealth is not appearance. True wealth is stability, freedom, control over one's future, peace of mind, and perhaps this is what so many people are truly seeking. I would love to hear your thoughts in the live chat or comments below. What stood out most to you in this from this first chapter? What there was there a particular lesson that resonated with your current stage in life, and what does wealth truly mean to you personally? Not merely financially, but spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. Your reflections are part of what makes Michael Reed's community so powerful. If tonight's reading has brought you value, please support the growth of Michael Reads by liking the live stream, subscribing to Mr. Michael Reads, and sharing the series with others who are striving to improve themselves. This playlist is going to become something truly special, and together we are not simply reading a book, we're studying principles that have guided ambitious minds for generations. And so, as the lamps of Babylon begin to dim for tonight, we leave not merely entertained, but wiser than we arrived. Until next time, guys, Keep learning, keep growing, keep building the life you were meant to live. This is Michael Reed, and I thank you so much for joining me. Until the next one, keep your notifications on, and I will see you then. Take care. Bye bye.